All I can do is coach and be myself. I've earned the chance. I won 3 straight division titles, so that says a lot as far as I'm concerned. But I don't really have a message for fans other than true fans are true fans, and we're going to try to do our best to go out there and win for them. They're going to feel how they feel, but that's not a coach's problem. A coach's problem is to make the team better. That's all I'm looking forward to.
I understand their frustrations about this past season.
I understand their frustrations, and I understand our own frustrations as well. It's well warranted, and it's well warranted within the building as well.
It's always interesting to see how a team handles making it known that they're sticking with their current coach. We had a great contrast 2 years ago when both the Cowboys and the Eagles lost in ugly fashion in the wild card round, and Bill Belichick was available, and there was kind of a vigil, waiting for the white smoke for both teams. The Cowboys issue a statement that Mike McCarthy will return. The Eagles don't say anything. The Eagles' attitude was, why do we need to say that we're bringing back a coach that just took us to the Super Bowl last year? Right. Why do we need to say that? Dysfunctional teams issue statements like the Bengals right away. The coach and the GM will be back. Don't waste your time trying to convince us otherwise. We've made our decision. So the Buccaneers' strategy has been, let Todd Bowles say he's coming back. He's authorized to go say it. I've seen some reports citing unnamed sources that Bowles will be back, but the Bucs themselves didn't issue a statement, so they've kind of staked out a middle ground. We're not going full dysfunctional, hey, world, we're not firing our coach, but we're still activating the process of getting people to stop waiting for us to fire our coach.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a point there where we talked about in the first segment with John Harbaugh where I went, ooh, the Bucs one of those teams that maybe would do that, right? I mean, certainly. We know the Glazer family has been, pretty fearless as far as making tough decisions, doing things sometimes that you go, ooh, that I didn't expect them to do that. But at the same time, no, I'm not shocked Todd Bowles is staying there. Again, I think when you say it out loud, some of the things he's done there have been pretty damn good. Some of the things they've overcome have been pretty damn good. I mean, plain and simple, to take over for Bruce Arians and Tom Brady and then just go, hey, okay, I got a year here. Okay, Brady, I'm doing that. Oh, Baker Mayfield. Oh, we're still the kings of the NFC South. I mean, they've been dangerous, as we know. As far as being a playoff team, a team a few years ago, we were in Detroit when Detroit was certainly one of the best teams in football, and it was like, whoa, the Bucs are, toe-to-toe with them. Like, could they upset the Detroit Lions today? So there's a lot of things there. You
mean the game when they didn't use a late timeout?
Well,
you mean the game when they didn't use a late timeout?
You certainly can discuss that. But regardless, there they were to have that and do that. But at the same time, okay, so now we get to this year, right? And I think when you talk about all those other years and you talked about, I wouldn't want to follow, John Harbaugh with Lamar Jackson. I mean, he had one of the hardest follows to go with here. And he's done really well. And then let's put this year into perspective a little bit. Like, this is where I think context matters, all right? Mike Evans was hurt for a huge chunk of time. Chris Godwin wasn't out there for almost the whole year. Bucky Irvin missed a huge chunk of time. Franchise left tackle Tristan Wirfs missed chunks of time along with a bunch of other offensive linemen. Baker Mayfield is playing with a hurt shoulder. Cade Otton, their tight end, missed time. Defensively, they lost one of their best defensive players in Kalijah Kancey, right? And then on top of that, what I would say, and because his defense is kind of the one that's been getting grilled here, all right, so 2 years in a row, he lost top-notch offensive coordinators. Yeah, so that's tough to overcome. Right? And I think that says something to him and his ability to hire people a little bit there to coach the offense. He obviously got a little eye for that. And I don't, necessarily look at their defense and what they had this year. Jason Light's done a great job forming the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but there's some things on their personnel where I'd go, I don't give a damn what defensive coach you bring in there. They're not going to be that good with what they got there. There's nothing special. Levante David's a legend. We know that. Bucks legend. Bucks Hall of Fame. But he's up there in years. Middle linebacker play is not wow. Hassan Reddick, we got him to rush the passer. Did you talk about him? Did you hear his name last week in the Carolina Panther game? I would probably say no. The cornerback position, certainly issues in the secondary. And so what I'm saying here is not all these problems that we looked at with the Bucks should just totally go on Todd Bowles here. There's been some bad luck, the injuries, and I think the team was maybe over-evaluated a little bit as far as how good they thought they were. And they didn't make it this year. But I'm not shocked that he's getting another crack at it to come back and be the Bucs head coach.
I'm not shocked, but I wouldn't have been shocked if they had moved on.
Yeah, I hear you too.
His regular season record is 35-33. You throw in the playoff appearances, 36-36. That's a different vibe than 3 straight division titles. They won 3 straight division titles under Todd Bowles in one of the worst divisions in all of football. And this year they started 6-2 and completely and totally collapsed. And this is the quote that was posted earlier this week on pewterreport.com from Yaya Diaby that I thought would end up being the kiss of death for Todd Bowles. Said Diaby, "We had more walkthroughs this year than any other year. I'm not going to lie. I'm a straightforward guy. That's one of the things I want to talk to Coach Bowles about, especially with me possibly being a captain next year, letting him know that has to change. We need to prepare the right way. We have to prepare to win. I know injuries are a big thing in this league, but being ready for a game is just as important as anything else." So we've seen this year, and the whole mantra became after they blew the double-digit lead in the fourth quarter in that 50th anniversary Bucco Bruce game, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's what Todd Bowles started to say. And players started repeating it. Look in the mirror, look in the mirror. Well, they didn't win another game until the game that, put them in position to have a chance if the Saints had beaten the Falcons on Sunday. So I just think that it could have gone either way. And it's interesting how they handled it. No statement from the team. Coach is saying, I'm coming back. Separate report, he's coming back. I think it's a given for next year. He's going to be on the hot seat.
Totally.
He's going to have to perform.
Right.
And, by the way, to tie together this segment and last segment, if Mike Tomlin would take a job in TV, it's not going to take a genius, which qualifies both of us to say it. Tomlin's going to be the guy that we're all looking at as potentially the next head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because that is where he spent a lot of time as an assistant coach before 1 year with the Vikings as defensive coordinator and then straight to the Steelers as head coach, even though, and this always pains me, I've heard a couple of years ago from a very reliable source, again, not to be confused with my unreliable sources, that the Vikings at least had a conversation about making Mike Tomlin the head coach and firing Brad Childress after 1 year because they knew what Tomlin was going to be. And he was walking out the door after 1 year. And there's an alternate universe where Mike Tomlin has been the coach of the Vikings since 2007. So
everybody
Tomlin
knew
to the Bucs.
Yeah, right. I hear you there. I think you're fair. First off, everybody I feel like knew Mike Tomlin was going to be that. Anybody that was around him, right? I think if you asked any of my teammates in those years in Tampa, they would have been like, oh, Mike T's going to be a head coach in 2 years. Mike T's going to be a head coach in 3 years. He just had that vibe. He's the ultimate leader of men. And yes, I think the Glazer family really loved Mike Tomlin. Him and Raheem Morris, as we know. They replaced John Gruden with Raheem Morris, right? So there was true affection there. He's special that way. But what I'll say for Todd Bowles, too, and like what you read about with the Yaya Diaby thing, you know me, I'm old school. I hate all these freaking rules in the NFL. And I think a lot of the old school coaches who really believe in hey, physicality still wins, they'd like to put the pads on a little bit more. So I'm with Yaya Diaby all the way. I think what happened there, because I've talked to some people in Tampa when I was down there, of course, for the game, that came up that they've had to do a lot of walkthroughs. It wasn't because Todd Bowles is hey, I want to do walkthroughs. His team was beat to shit. So when your team is beat to shit, it's hard to go out there and go, hey, beat the crap out of each other in practice too, right? No, you get to a point where you're going, wait, I don't want to kill each other in practice. We're thin at a whole bunch of positions. We lose one more receiver, we might not be able to play a 3-receiver set this weekend, right? We move one more lineman, we're going to have somebody playing a position on the line that has never played that position before. So I think that's part of it too. A little unlucky this year. Definitely some bad stuff too that you can blame on all of them, and they blew a few football games and opportunities. But I do think there is direct correlation to where you look at where they were 6-2 to where injuries hit and everything there, and that's where things went south, and they just could never kind of fight their way out of that. And then, of course, the defense just never improved either.
I think Baker Mayfield had injuries that we knew about and injuries we didn't know about, and he insists on playing through them, and I admire him for doing that, especially because when your play is affected by the injuries, people will think it's because you've lost it. No, he's injured, and he's never going to make that excuse. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.